Today, let me study the transportation in plants. In the plants, the water is conducted by xylem tissue. Xylem helps in absorption of water from roots to the aerial parts of the plant. That is, it helps in conduction of water from roots to the shoot system. And the food is conducted by the phloem. The food is synthesized in the leaf by the process called photosynthesis by absorbing the carbon dioxide and the water supplied by the xylem. And that food is supplied to other growing parts of the plant by a specialized tissue called phloem tissue, which conducts food. And after conducting the food, it requires energy to supply the food from one part to the other part, that is from the leaf to other parts of the plant. So it requires energy. It utilizes the energy in the form of ATP. So ATP is very essential to conduct the food from leaves to different parts of the plant. Today we are going to study transportation in plants. In the previous class, we studied the transportation in animals like human beings. So in the human beings, as we know, the transportation of food materials and oxygen, it is mainly by the blood. So blood is a fluid tissue which helps in transportation in animals. In the same way, transportation in plants. How do the transportation of food materials or gases takes place in the plants? Very well, we know that surely it must be supported by the tissues. Then what kind of tissues may help in the plants to transport the food materials? Now what actually transported in the plants? Now, so when you see the roots absorb the water and that should be supplied to the whole plant. Now how it is possible? From the roots, what is absorbed? Water and minerals. Water and minerals are transported from the roots to the whole plant. Now how it is possible? It is possible by a tissue called xylem. Xylem is a complex permanent tissue which helps in conducting the water. So, xylem tissue helps in conducting the water from the roots to other aerial parts of the plant. That means the shoot system. And obviously, we know, so leaf is a kitchen of a plant where it prepares the food. This we already studied in photosynthesis, plant nutrition. So here the leaf is responsible for production of the food by the process called photosynthesis. Okay, after photosynthesis, how the food is supplied to the plant? Now that is possible by the phloem. So phloem is a tissue. Even phloem is also permanent tissue, complex permanent tissue which helps in conduction of the food. Now how food is transported in the plant? Now when food is synthesized in the leaf, it is in a form of starch, and then that starch is converted, simplified into sucrose, and in a form of sucrose the food materials are transported from the leaf to the other parts of the plant where actually the growth is taking place. Where actually the growth is taking place? In the roots, in the shoots, in the flowers, in the buds, everywhere we can find the growth. So for such parts the food is supplied from the leaf to other parts by the tissue called phloem tissue. Now the two tissues are xylem conducts the water, one, and the phloem conducts the food. Now how the xylem conducts the water? Is there any phenomenon? Yes, definitely. So the root hair is having a contact with the soil, and the ion starts moving inside the root hair. As a result, there will be variation in the concentration of ions compared to the soil. So when the ions moved inside the root hair, now what is the concentration of ions in the root hair? Obviously it increases, and this increased ion number helps in absorption of water from the surrounding area and moves towards the shoot system. So xylem helps in conduction of water. So ions starts moving inside the root hair. As a result, the ion concentration increases in the root hair. Hence, the water starts moving from outer environment towards the inside the root. This is how the water absorption takes place at the roots. Now, how the water moves towards the upward direction? Even there is a phenomenon. So, the leaf involved in photosynthesis. It requires the water as a raw material. And leaf is a place where it has more stomatal pores at the lower surface of the leaf. As a result, whatever the water absorbed, some part of the water get evaporated. When the water get evaporated, the evaporation enhances the suction force in the leaf. The suction force created in the leaf helps in absorption of the water, uptake of the water, and this is known as suction force or transpiration pull. What is transpiration? Evaporation of water in a form of water vapor. That is transpiration. Now, as a result, what is created? Suction force is created, and suction force is created in the leaf. As a result, the water uptake takes place. This is known as transpiration pull or suction force. This is how the water absorption takes place by ion variation in the water in the root hair. And meanwhile, here we can find the suction force or transpiration pull. That is how the uptake of water takes place. So meanwhile, I said in the leaf there will be photosynthesis process. As a result, it prepares the food, and the food converts into sucrose, that is soluble form. The transfer of soluble product of photosynthesis from leaf to the other parts is known as translocation of food. Now, what is translocation of food? So, the food which is prepared in the leaf converts into soluble form, and that get transported from leaf to other parts, and that is known as translocation of food. Now, how translocation takes place? Through the phloem tissue. So, this is how the transportation of water and the food takes place in the plants. The first one is the transportation of water by the roots by variation in the ion concentration compared to the root hair and the soil. This is first phenomenon. And transportation of food, that is by the phloem tissue. So the transfer of soluble food materials prepared by the process of photosynthesis from the leaf to other parts is known as translocation of food. This conducts by the phloem tissue, and hence xylem and phloem are the main tissue which involve in transportation of food and water. Xylem in conducting water, phloem in conducting food. In the xylem, ion concentration is very important, and in uptake of the water, suction force or transpiration pull is very important. Transport of food from the leaf to other parts of the plant is translocation of the food by the phloem tissue. This is about the transportation in plants.
ಇದು ಶ್ರೇಯನ್ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ನ.